Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Sharawn Connors, Vice President of Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion at Nasdaq-listed Micron. In fact, Micron is a Nasdaq 100 company. Sharawn, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
How is Micron advancing its diversity efforts in hiring?
Yeah, that is a great question. So the first thing we really did was we took a step back to understand where we are today. What does our representation look like in our organization globally? And then where do we have opportunity? And then once we really understood our representation numbers, we set goals, right? Understanding what's available in the market and what we have in our organization and where we aspire to get to over time. And then from there, we were able to implement inclusive hiring strategies. So, for example, that could include diverse slate, making sure we have a variety of candidates with different diversity dimensions that go through our process. We also implemented what we call candidate allies, and those are team members from our employee resource group that are actually trained to participate in the interview, talk about our culture at Micron, share our DEI commitment, and really to mitigate any type of unconscious bias that could possibly happen in the interview. We also have implemented some very state-of-the-art tools. I think you can't underestimate the power of technology, and that's what we're about at Micron. So we've implemented tools that help us to reduce bias in our job descriptions. We've also anonymized resumes, so we take names off to make sure that we are giving everyone a fair starting point when they're a candidate at Micron. So those are the types of initiatives that we've been working on. Most recently, we actually enhanced our employee referral bonus to add an extra incentive for diverse candidates. So that's another way we're really trying to tap into all of the rich talent that's out there and ensure that everyone has an opportunity to have a place at Micron.
Why is Micron focusing its diversity, equality, and inclusion effort in the global locations where it does business, specifically in Asia?
Yeah, I think number one, because it's the right thing to do. Number two, it's good for business, right? We want to make sure not only are we bringing in diverse talent, but we're actually allowing that talent to innovate and have their voices heard. And so we know every country has its own opportunities. 70% of our footprint is actually in Asia. So we want to make sure that we're aware of those opportunities and we are ensuring that we are working towards an inclusive environment in every single one of our locations where all of our team members feel seen, heard, valued, respected. We know that when that happens, that leads to more innovation, which is good for us and it's good for our shareholders. So we are committed to it. Again, it's the right thing to do, but it's also good for business.
Micron has an advanced approach to pay equity. Can you speak to what sets Micron apart in its effort to advance pay equity?
Yeah, this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So we know that there are opportunities with pay, and when you look around the world, not everyone, unfortunately, is paid fairly today, but we want to make sure that at Micron they are. And so we've expanded our efforts. For a while, we've had a study that's focused on gender, which is extremely important. We've expanded that study to focus on all underrepresented groups. So that's women globally, that's people with disabilities globally, and then the US, that's Blacks, Latinx population, and our US veterans. And so that is one way we have really taken it to the next level when we talk about pay equity. The other thing that we've done is we understand that compensation is just not base pay. It also includes bonus and stock allocation as well. And that is so important, right? So we want to look holistically at the pay we are providing our team members and ensure that we have fairness in our process and the way we allocate that resource.
And Micron has outlined 6 ambitious commitments to guide its DEI efforts throughout 2021. Why is it important for Micron to advance these?
Yeah, it's so important. Like any other business initiative, you have to have a strategy, you have to have your North Star. And so we wanted to get very clear on what is it we're trying to accomplish, and then ensure all of the DEI programs and efforts we have actually align with those commitments. And again, those commitments are important because ultimately having diverse representation in our organization, having an inclusive environment, bringing in diverse suppliers, all of those efforts are ultimately, again, going to lead to more innovation, better decision making, faster decision making. And again, that's great. It's not only the right thing to do, but it's also good for our bottom line.
Micron views its position and platform as part of its responsibility for social change. For example, when the Boise community faced anti-Semitic vandalism at the Anne Frank Memorial in December, Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra announced that Micron would join the support for Boise's Wasmuth Center for Human Rights, of course, the home for the Anne Frank Memorial, with a $20,000 donation from the Micron Foundation. The foundation is also donating $20,000 to the Jewish Assistance Fund of Idaho. Sharawn, can you discuss Micron's commitment to social justice and change?
Yeah, it's something that we're very proud of. And like many of us, just all the events that took place this year really shined a light on the opportunity in this area. When you think about the George Floyd unfortunate incident, there's just been a large movement around social justice. Now, this is work that Micron has always been committed to. We've been pushing for LGBTQ plus rights. Particularly, you can see our efforts in Boise around the Add the Words campaign. But this year in particular just highlighted we needed to intensify our focus on social justice. So we are committed to pushing for racial equality, and we're also committed to LGBT human rights just around the world. And we know that there's opportunities there. So we want to use our voice and our platform to not only make the world or make Micron a more inclusive environment, but ensure the communities in which our team members live, work, and play, that they are protected, that they have equal rights, and that they feel like they belong. That is important, and that's something that we stand on.
All right, Sharawn, thank you to you and the Micron team for making the world a better place. It was a pleasure having you on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.